This is Undaunted.Life, a man's podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Thompson. Let's get into it. MARKWAYNE Mullin, welcome back to the show. How are you? You're looking good, sir.
Of course I look good. I mean,
well,
I gave you a compliment last time. I'm not doing it again, so don't bait me into that.
I may have been fishing for it. But look, in case I needed to look any better, would you look at this? Is this a Mullen Ranch vest?
Oh,
look at this. For those of you only listening to this, not watching on YouTube, you are missing out because I got the black V-neck, which is the official uniform of Undaunted.Life, plus a Mullen Ranch vest. However, MARKWAYNE,
you know, I got that specially cut. It's a women's cut small for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just real cute. It's real cute. You got jokes this morning. You got lots of jokes apparently here recently. But
wait. Do you have one of these? Look at this.
What is that? No, I don't.
Oh.
And how would I get that if my own senator from the great state of Oklahoma didn't send it to me? But,
yeah,
I've got a bone to pick with you, okay? Because
Good.
I've been reliably informed that senators always follow through on what they're going to say, right? So if they say they're going to do it, especially on the campaign trail, they're actually going to do it. Because I go and open up the box and I'm thinking to myself, this box is mighty small because we agreed on a cowboy hat and yet what I was sent was this trucker hat that I feel like someone could have bought at Lowe's off of travel stop exit 15.
We did not agree on a cowboy hat. You wanted a cowboy hat. And I was like, you're worth a lot, but I'm not spending that kind of money because I can't send a cheap cowboy hat, right? A good cowboy hat's going to cost you a few bills.
Right. So I don't know what the problem is because we digitally shook on it. We said cowboy hat. Now, a cowboy might wear this hat, but that doesn't make it a cowboy hat. You see, this is a trucker hat as confirmed by your staff before you even got on this call. This is clearly a trucker hat. Yeah. What is the problem? What have I not done to prove to you that I'm worth it?
I don't know if it's appropriate for me to say that here, so I'm just going to leave it alone. But
you know what?
You're a good friend, but there's dollars that seem on that, and you have yet to. You have yet to hug me.
I've also been reliably informed that you literally make thousands of dollars per year. And here you are quibbling about maybe having to drop a couple of bills on a cowboy hat for your buddy from Oklahoma. I don't really understand it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, seeing that I got good taste, I can hook you up with a person that can actually get it for you and can do the engraving for you, and then you can work out, because since you're a guy that makes great deals, you can work out probably a better price yourself.
Okay, yeah. So I like how you stroke the ego to get me to change the subject, but it's going to work because I'm changing the subject right now. Because just to give everybody a peek behind the curtain, guys, we're recording this 1 week before it comes out. That's just the way that the cookie crumbled on this, and so we will have an inauguration in the meantime. Hopefully not riots, but who the heck knows? There will be more things and more opportunities to go viral, but we just have to talk about the information that we know now because here I am minding my own business, and here I am getting blown up on Instagram and blown up in my text messages like, your boy's getting after him this morning. Your boy's dropping bombs all over the Senate. These are not literal bombs, people, chill out. But during Pete Hegseth's hearing, you decided that you were going to go scorched earth on your colleagues and kind of get after them and remind them that they've got a log in their own eye, if you will, as they're trying to get after Pete Hegseth and pretend like he's not qualified because of moral failings that he's been very, very open about. And so obviously everyone in the audience at this point has seen what I'm talking about. If not, there's this magical thing called Google. Go and find it. My curiosity, though, MARKWAYNE, is during these hearings, these are senators' opportunities to have 7 minutes to create content that they can, fundraise off of and try to get reelected and try to get their gotcha moment and try to sell t-shirts. This seemed like there may have been some of that, but part of it was just like, are we serious? It seemed like you had reached a point where you're like, are we seriously sitting here wasting the American taxpayers' money and time by talking about this nonsense? So why did you make the commentary you did, and why did you do it so pointed and in that setting?
Well, there was nothing planned about it. I had a whole list of questions that I was going to do, and actually they were a pre-list that I'd already worked with Pete on. They were kind of softball questions because leading up to this, Pete and his wife Jenny, but I refuse to call her Jenny because every time I say Jenny, I feel like I'm listening to Forrest Gump, so I call her Jennifer.
Jenny.
Yeah, and so I had been doing what they call murder boards with him, and what we do is we have full mock-up hearings, and we play certain rows. And so I'm playing a role of several Democrats. And I mean, we go scorched earth on those questions. We make it very uncomfortable and we go hard into it. And he had handled himself well. But at the same time, what we're wanting to do is give him an opportunity to reset when he came to Republican questions, so he can kind of relax a little bit in his head, breathe again, bring down his heart rate, get his ears going to normal colors again, and allow him to be ready for the next attack. The issue that I was having is we didn't expect the Dems to take this moral high ground. And I'm not saying I'm more moral than anybody else. I'm the most flawed individual that you've heard, and probably the most flawed individual in the Senate. So I tell people that I'm a Christian, but I am also one mistake from being exposed from a big hypocrite that I am. So I have had my mistakes. Don't get me wrong on this. But when these Democrats were taking this moral high ground and they were just slaughtering a full character assassination of Pete, when he has been openly he has openly admitted wrong in his past, which we've all had past, and we've all had to go past that. And I tell people, I've never fired anybody for making a mistake. I've fired you when you can't admit that you made a mistake, right? And that doesn't mean that you got to admit it the first time, but when you finally come to the realization that you made a mistake and you're willing to change your life and be held accountable for it, man, that is growth. And that is someone that you want to surround yourself with, because they're probably destined not to do that again. And so when this character assassination started going towards Pete, here his wife, Jennifer, is sitting behind him, and she's taking the oncoming fire too. And she was sitting there, stoic, and was able to contain herself, I guess you could say. But I was sitting there thinking, if that was Christy sitting behind me, she would want somebody to stand up and defend me, because Pete can't do that for himself, because he kept answering the question, but he kept admitting that he's made mistakes, but he's moved on past that, and that these were baseless allegations. They're anonymous individuals. No one's come forward. By the way, you've had 6 weeks to come forward now. If you was going to come forward, you'd come forward. It was just a full character assassination attempt on Pete. And so I just got fed up. And I wanted to call him out on the hypocrisy, and that's where it went. I didn't know where it was going to go as far as being all over the media and all over the news for the last 48 hours. I had no idea that was happening. You can never really plan that kind of stuff anyways. It was just calling them out for what it was, and it resonated with the American people. But it also, I guess you could say, it took a lot of air out of the room, because from then on, there was the moral assassination stopped on Pete, because they understood that they lived in a glass house.
Well, I think one thing I was reminded of while we were doing this is is the party of Teddy Kennedy and Bill Clinton really going to be lecturing this man about his sexual peccadillies? And because the thing is morally speaking, what he did and what he's done in his life in those areas has been reprehensible. But we do see growth, and we do see evidence of the gospel in his life because of his repentance and because of how he's living his life now.
Well, but these individuals are sitting there saying that he wasn't fit to serve because of his past. And they were saying that he had a drinking problem, which he adamantly admitted that he didn't have a drinking problem. Now, you tell me a combat vet that has come back from truly combat, that has drug his buddies off the battlefield, who is knelt by a battle cross, who has buried his buddies, who has had a visit with his friends, family, after he was killed in action. Tell me some of those that haven't come back and drank a little bit. That's why VFWs exist. That's why American Legions exist. That's why these different veteran associations exist, because it allows them to go to a safe place and blow off some steam. But to say that he had a drinking problem is absolutely absurd. And then they were accusing him of showing up drunk at work and stuff, and that never happened. And so for me, I was like, hold on a second. You're saying he's not fit to serve, and because of this, and yet have you ever called out your own colleagues for showing up late at night drunk to vote? No. Have you ever called out your colleagues for getting a divorce because they cheated on their wife while they were up here? Did you ever call on them to resign? No. So why is it that we in the Senate are trying to hold other people at a different standard than what we hold our own selves to? And that was the whole reason of me pushing in on this.
Well, I'm glad you did. And from your read on this now, again, we're recording this a week in advance, so a million different things could happen. But in terms of Hegseth and some of the other folks that are maybe fringe, that people are like, hey, we're not exactly sure whether that's RFK Jr. or Tulsi or any of these other people, do we see any issues with any of Trump's appointments not getting approved by the Senate?
No, I think since this is going to be a week late, I think you're going to already see Pete Hegseth is going to be already confirmed. We're going to try doing that on the 20th of January. Obviously, right after President Trump is sworn into office, we're going to go right in. We're going to try getting Hegseth, Rubio, and Pam, and possibly John Ratcliffe all done on Monday, if possible. If not, we're going to be doing it through this whole upcoming week, which is the week of the 20th. Obviously, like you said, we're a week behind here. But I think Pete was the hard case to move forward. And there was a lot of mixed feelings on how to handle this, but this is just Trump's typical style. A lot of people wanted to go with Rubio, Ratcliffe, Pam, and get some of the easy ones out. And so we could, quote, build momentum. President Trump was like, no, we're going to face this challenge right up front. We're going to call him out on it. We're going to get him confirmed, and then everybody else will be easy. And so because Pete is going to get confirmed because he handled himself so well in that hearing, I mean, if you wasn't a supporter of Pete beforehand, to be able to see how that guy was able to hold composure underneath oncoming fire and not get rattled showed that he can handle pressure. And I think more people supported him going in or coming out of it than they did actually going into it. So now that he's going to get confirmed, because he will be confirmed, the other ones will be. The next big challenge, though, will probably be Tulsi. Could be a little bit of a challenge. I don't think there's going to be an issue there, but Bobby Kennedy will be the biggest challenge moving forward. And obviously, we're not going to get any Democrat support in this one, but we have some problems with a couple of our colleagues still. I'll be having meetings throughout leading up to his confirmation, and with our colleagues, just trying to get them to a good spot. I've had the privilege of getting to know Bobby throughout the campaign. As I was traveling with President Trump and traveling with JD, we spent a lot of time on the plane and a lot of time on the motorcade together. And the more I'm with him, the more I enjoyed being with him. And he's one of these guys that you could just sit down and play cards with all night and never stop laughing. I mean, he's got more stories than I've ever been around anybody with. And the guy is just hilarious. He's got the best Irish jokes you've ever seen in your life. Yeah,
you've told me that, but you still won't tell me any of the jokes.
No,
off air,
not all of them are really content friendly.
Well, inappropriate jokes are my favorite category of jokes, MARKWAYNE.
So I never said that. I said
I did.
Friendly. See how I said that? I was political in saying that?
Yeah, you politicians, you're all so darn slick. Right? But let's keep the whole slickness thing going, and let's get, because again, by the time everyone's hearing this, the inauguration will have happened, hopefully without a whole lot of, hopefully plenty of pomp and circumstance, but no like negative fanfare. Let's say it that way. But we can already at least feel the Trump effect happening a little bit right now. There has been reports that Israel and Hamas have come to a ceasefire agreement. It's going to be tranched out in a lot of ways. It's still too early for a lot of people to give their full-on think pieces as to whether or not this is a good thing for Hamas or a good thing for Israel, or a good thing for the planet.
So we've got some. Don't care if it's a good thing for Hamas. What's a good thing for Hamas is the person making the deal isn't dead, because if you're part of Hamas, you should be looking for a hole to go into. So the fact that they have an exit strategy to still have their heartbeat in place is a good deal for Hamas. Other than that, don't care.
Yeah, they should thank their lucky stars for sure. Yeah. But no matter what, no matter if this happens, before Monday, right? Again, we're talking about this in the future, but before Monday, no matter what, this is the Trump effect, okay? Because he meant it when he said there will be all hell to pay if there's not a deal by the time I get into office. And by the time he gets into office, there's not going to be this whole squishy thing. It's like we're getting our people back and we're going to kill every last one of you. And that's how this is going to work. There's not going to be a negotiation. But what is the feeling, Mark Wayne, of the Trump team, of the Republicans as we head in? Because we're less than a week away from the actual inauguration. Like, it's happening. Biden is out. Like, no more babysitters, no more changing diapers in the Oval Office. This is big boy time that we're getting into. What's the feeling?
Well, we're excited. I think the expectations for the American people is extremely high. The ability for us to deliver and meet those expectations are not likely, because it's, not everything's going to change on the 21st of January. There's going to take time to turn this disastrous administration, the Biden administration, where they've taken us, it's going to take time to turn us back around and get us going in the right direction again. And so there's going to be a lot that's going to happen on day one. President Trump on the 20th will be signing right at 100 executive orders, and 100 very directive and directed executive orders, not like the Biden administration. Keep in mind, this is a president that was the 45th president of the United States, so he knows exactly what he needs to do when he comes in the 47th. So there's going to be a big change at the border. There's going to be a big change in energy policy. There's going to be a big change in trade policy that's going to happen on day one. But those executive orders are just executive orders, and they're all temporary. And then we have to work on making them into laws, so they're permanent. That's going to take some time. Our foreign policy and our stance around the world, that posture changed November 5th. You saw world leaders start coming to Mar-a-Lago on November 7th. Right. So that's already happened, and they craved it. The reason why so many world leaders have come to Florida, which Florida is now the White House in Mar-a-Lago until President Trump takes the White House over. President Biden has been absent. He has been nowhere as negotiations at all. It's kind of funny that he went to the mic yesterday, and Secretary Blinken, who is the biggest liar of any individual I've ever met in my life. Secretary Blinken is an absolute bold-faced liar, and I've told that to his face, and he cannot deny that, because I got him at dead to right on multiple lies. And for him to sit there with a straight face and allow President Trump to take credit for this hostage negotiation, the ceasefire that's taken place, is a bold-faced lie. Steve Witkoff, which is President Trump's personal friend, has been negotiating this since November, and I have been privileged enough to be involved in some of those conversations, not involved in the negotiations, but Steve has done a phenomenal job reporting back to the president. He's actually been flying to the Middle East back and forth on his own dime. It hasn't been official money even doing this. Steve has been flying back and forth on his own dime to help negotiate this. Now, what happens in the negotiation, and does a hostage get released? Mind you, we're doing this before the 20th, and so I think the hostages, the ones that are alive, will probably be released. I think what's happening right now is, how does Hamas save face? Because I don't know this for a fact, but we've only got proof of life on a very few of them. And, the ones that are still alive, great, they're going to come out. But what stories are they going to tell? From the males to the females? Because we know there was a tremendous amount of horrific abuse that took place, especially with the female hostages, and so I think they're kind of in damage control too at this point, because when these hostages were taken, I don't think they ever intended to probably release any of them. They thought that they were going to use it as a negotiating tool and just drag their feet out, but they also fear President Trump, because they know that what he means, he will do. when we say we're going, when he said all hell is going to be is going to come your way when come the 20th or not released, he means that, and I can assure you there's already plans in place that will be executed in a fairly quick manner. That doesn't mean that all hell is going to break loose on the 20th, because he's not commander in chief yet, so he can't command that yet. But it'll be in a fast manner that we will be going in there and returning either the bodies of the hostages or getting the live hostages out. But I can promise you, the world and the world leaders are paying attention, because you could see from when Trump was in office, and I'll take you back to what happened in 2017. Mind you, every president comes in gets tested. Obama got tested with his red line, right? And with Syria, you had Biden get tested multiple times and failed horrifically. And then obviously the way he handled Afghanistan was a huge fail. And he's failed in every foreign policy with calling off, being the lack that he was able to call off Putin going into Ukraine. That was huge failure. The aggressiveness of China, huge failure. The aggressiveness of Iran, a huge failure. But President Trump was tested in 17, and I just want to remind people, two things happened in 2017. First of all, the Taliban killed a Green Beret captain with 19th Group and in Kandahar. And President Trump's response was immediately, as commander in chief, his first response was he dropped the largest bomb since World War II, called the Moab, mother of all bombs, that's made in McAlester, Oklahoma. Can I please tell you, it wasn't even designed for that type of warfare in the mountains. It was just the shock and awe and the importance that people need to know he's willing to go to that extreme. What happened is the Taliban's eyes opened up, and they're like, oh, well, we have a new guy in place. I think we'll play cool now. And then you saw Syria and Russia, who President Trump made it very clear that if you use chemical weapons, that's not Biden's red line or Obama's red line. This is my red line. We will make you pay. They did it. And within 30 minutes, and by the way, at that time, Russia controlled the airspace over Syria. This is in 2017. Trump goes in and says, within 30 minutes, we're coming to you. They destroyed the airfield that the Russians were using, destroyed the airfield to where the chemicals came from, and we took control over the airspace for Syria, and we had it up until Biden was sworn into office, and in 21, Biden gave the airspace back to Russia. So those are the two times he was tested, and both times he proved it, and after that, he was never challenged again. I don't think they're going to test him again this time, but Hamas may just be stupid enough they do, and President Trump will respond in the same type of fashion.
Well, it'll certainly be a change of pace and exciting to have a man back in the White House, because I don't know what we've had for the last little bit. We've
had a man in the White House. We just didn't have a leader in the White House.
Yep. Also true. We got time for one more question. This came up for me at the memorial service for Jimmy Carter. Again, massive issues with Jimmy Carter as a politician, as a president and all that, but he's one of less than 50 men that has represented this country as our president. So he is to be honored in that way. And so obviously all the living presidents and then current administration, all that, they go there. But wasn't it so interesting that Donald Trump is sitting right next to Barack Obama, and they seemed downright chummy? Now, I've been reliably informed by, checks notes, Barack Obama, that Donald Trump is Hitler, that he is a threat to democracy, that he is a threat to the very fabric of this great nation, and yet he is able to sit down next to Hitler and have a fun conversation and smile and giggle on camera and cut a few jokes himself. Mark Wayne, help me understand. I'm a simple guy, but I still feel like I can read people and words on a page. What happened? Is he not Hitler anymore?
Yeah, well, no kidding, right? What happened was President Trump won the popular vote and the Electoral College overwhelmingly, and Obama recognized that. And he understood that he has to make amends there. What it also showed is that President Trump his ability to be a leader and say, okay, I can be cordial too. I can let the past be gone. And he's actually said that before. He said, if I held a grudge against everybody that said something bad to me, I'd have no friends. Yeah. He's even said that in settings, in the Senate settings. He said, if I held a grudge against all you guys that said something bad to me about when I first ran in 2015 and 2016, I would have no friends in this room. Of course, everybody started laughing. He says, I want to go past that because the problems that face us are bigger than that. He's actually said that. I've heard him repeat that multiple times. And I think he was gracious enough to warmly receive the Obamas. And Obama recognized, as a former president of the United States, that he is the next leader, and the American people chose that, and he needs to respect it. And that's exactly what took place. What you didn't see that same thing is you had a weak leader in Kamala Harris and Mr. Harris that refused to even look at him.
Yeah.
And that just shows how horrific of an individual that our vice president has been too, and how big of a disaster she would have been if she, God forbid, would have got elected. But the American people saw right through her.
We have certainly dodged a bullet as the American citizenry, but hey, that's all for me, aside from getting a contact to your cowboy hat guy so I can start my negotiations. You got anything left for me? Got anything?
Nope, I'm all good. Mock Brothers is where you need to go to. They're awesome. That's where I buy all my hats, Mock Brothers.
Shout out to Mock Brothers. All right, Mark Wayne, we'll talk again soon.
All right, see you, brother. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Wherever you're listening to this, please subscribe, rate, and leave us a positive 5-star review. If you want me to come speak live at your event or on your podcast, just shoot me an email to info@Undaunted.Life. That's info@Undaunted.Life. Follow us on Instagram and like us on Facebook, and check out our website for everything else, including how to donate to keep more content like this coming your way. Just go to www.Undaunted.Life. And as always, we want to thank the band Holy Name for allowing us to use their music for our content. The music on this podcast is their song Perpetua, which is off their self-titled debut album on Face Down Records. The links are in the description. I'm your host, Kyle Thompson. Remember, keep pushing back darkness, keep forging spiritual, mental, and physical resilience, keep seeking the Lion of Judah.